in U.S. public health history. Thanks for joining us for TV5 News at noon. I'm Blake Keller. The grim warning comes as Michigan reports nearly 90,000 coronavirus cases. And as Danya Bacchus reports this noon, the U.S. death toll hit its highest point Wednesday in several weeks.
The coronavirus pandemic is consistently taking more lives per day than any time since May. In Texas, the positivity rate has jumped to around 24%, and the state reported more than 300 COVID deaths Wednesday, the most in the nation. At this college in Houston,
we create almost a bubble, if you will, for our residential students.
Students are getting tested for the virus when they move onto campus.
This could be the worst fall from a public health perspective we've ever had.
CDC Director Robert Redfield says the upcoming flu season could compound the crisis, but Americans can't avoid the worst of it if they wear masks.
We all got to do it. This is one of those interventions that got to be 95, 96, 97, 98, 99% if it's going to work.
President Trump says the government will send up to 125 million reusable face masks to schools to help them reopen.
All schools should be making plans to resume in-person classes as soon as possible.
With more than 1,000 Americans dying a day and coronavirus cases increasing in some areas, a new poll shows a majority of voters, 59%, oppose schools fully reopening. While some schools remain closed, AMC movie theaters announced it will reopen 2/3 of its U.S. locations next month. And the actors at Disney World will return to work after the theme park agreed to have a testing site on premises. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And New York City's mayor announced every school building in the district will have a certified nurse this fall. A Detroit area hospital is reinstating visitor restrictions following a rise in COVID-19 cases among staff, patients, and visitors. The restrictions go in effect today at Beaumont Health's Farmington Hills campus. Beaumont hospitals have cared for more COVID patients than any other health system in Michigan. And still developing this noon, a suspect is now in custody after hitting a state police sergeant last night. Now, it happened at 9:30 near the toll area on the Mackinac Bridge. The suspect fled the scene, but troopers later found the getaway car empty in Emmett County. Now, the sergeant is recovering from his injuries, which are believed to be non-life-threatening. Well, all lanes are now back open on northbound US 23. The highway closed around 5 this morning due to a crash at exit 88. That's Grand Blanc Road. There's still no word on what caused the crash or if there are any injuries, so stay with TV5 for any updates. Well, here's a bright and sunny afternoon around mid-Michigan as we take this live look out over downtown Flint and Saginaw. Meteorologist Chris Eastlick is keeping an eye on the picture-perfect forecast, and he joins us from the First Warn 5 Weather Center. Hey, Chris.
Yeah, not looking too bad, Blake. Definitely looking hazy out there in some spots. You might see a little more of a gray off in the distance rather than the crystal clear blue from yesterday. Perfectly illustrated here in Birch Run along I-75, but sky's still bright and likely will stay that way as we go into the afternoon. More of a partly to mostly sunny sky today rather than just the mostly sunny conditions of yesterday, but temperatures still responding nicely to that hazy sun. We've got 80s at inland, places like Saginaw at 82, Midland at 81, Flint you're at 80, and then we've got some 70s along the lakeshore where we do have a northeasterly breeze. Dew points a little bit more elevated than yesterday, so a bit more mugginess, but not uncomfortable by any stretch. And it looks like we've got winds out of the northeast about 5 to 10 miles per hour. The direction today more important than the speed. We've got some showers to the northwest of us. Those should fall apart before they get here. Like I mentioned earlier, I think we'll see a few spillover clouds from that, but nothing significant. And we'll see those temperatures top out in the mid to upper 80s in our warmest spots with some 70s along the immediate lakeshore. We'll take a look at what's ahead for the weekend forecast, which is right around the corner now. That's all coming up.
Thanks, Chris. More local news. Midland is looking a little greener these days. The city's water department lifted its lawn sprinkling ban. That began on July 8th. It restricted residents to only watering their lawns every other day. All city water customers can now go back to a normal watering schedule. That includes the city of Midland, Townships, Water District 1, and the city of Auburn. Well, Bay County Animal Services is looking for donations. They just took in 11 Chihuahua mixes from an animal cruelty case. Now, the pups were rescued from homes in Saginaw County. The shelter is looking for items like small collars, leashes, and small breed kibble. They are not accepting adoption applications at this time, but the pups could be ready for visits in just a couple of weeks. Well, TV5 is your school source for Mid-Michigan back-to-school plans. Schools across the state are getting ready for students to return to campus. In-person learning kicks off next week at Northern Michigan University. And as Mike Avery reports, testing and other procedures are being put in place for those headed back.
Students are very excited. I think they're ready to get out of their parents' basement.
The president of Northern Michigan University says the staff is excited to welcome students back to the classroom for in-person learning.
We're going to start by testing everybody, not just athletes, not just students in the dorm, not just faculty, not just staff. Our goal was to test everybody. And that starting Monday, their first stop is at the testing station. If they exhibit any symptoms, they'll immediately go into, we've reserved an entire dorm for isolation and quarantine.
Erickson says the university was planning all along to bring students back to campus for the fall semester and even kept campus open throughout the pandemic.
I received so many calls from parents that said, please keep my son or daughter there in Marquette, there at Northern, because we think it's a safer place for them to be. And so we did that. We never closed.
The university says masks and social distancing will be strictly enforced, and you can expect to see plexiglass shields throughout campus.
The safest place for college students is to be on a college campus because they stay contained. And that's what we really set up to do. That's why we're starting early. We want students to come early and be done by Thanksgiving.
As far as enrollment so far this year?
Overall, we're going to be maybe slightly down, less than 2%, something like that. Still waiting to see. I think there are a lot of late deciders, and I can certainly understand that. You know, I understand parents saying, you know, let's wait and see. Does the university have all the right protocols in place? Are they set up for this? You know, how's dining going to work? All of those kinds of things. So, you know, they and their sons and daughters can make those kinds of decisions.
Again, that was Mike Avery reporting. The first day of class at NMU is Monday. A number of local districts have altered the return to learn plans in just the last week. You can find the latest changes in the school source section of WNEM.com. Well, it is still up in the air what Halloween is going to look like this year, but this isn't stopping one candy company. Still ahead, where you can already find Halloween candy on store shelves and why some stores aren't on board. And movie lovers are getting some good news today, how some theaters are moving forward during this pandemic. Those stories and much more ahead as TV5 News at noon continues in just a moment. For the latest news and weather, you can download the TV5 mobile app. You'll find it in the App Store or on Google Play.